In this video, we're going to be dealing with the integumentary system. The integumentary system is the skin and all the accessory organs that protect the external part of our body. We're going to start with the layers of the skin, which is the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. The epidermis is made out of 5 layers: the stratum corneum, stratum lucidium, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum basale. Next, we're going to have the dermis, which is made of the papillary layer and the reticular layer. Finally, the deeper layer is the hypodermis, only it's not really a layer, but just a superficial fascia. Next, we're going to talk about some of the sensors that our skin has, like the Meissner corpuscle, which senses very light touch, and the Pacinian corpuscles, which sense pressure. We're also going to look at the accessory, we're only going to look at the accessory organs called the glands, but it would also include your hair and nails. There are 3 types of glands: your eccrine, your apocrine, and your sebaceous. Before we get any farther, let's first discuss the 3 or 4 types of cells found in your integumentary system. First, we're going to have keratinocytes. Keratinocytes are going to produce keratin, which is going to give our skins those protective properties. It's going to be what provides the thick toughness of our skin, and they're going to be tightly connected with desmosomes. Then melanocytes. Melanocytes, it has the word melan in there, so that's your melanin in your skin. So they're going to be spider shaped, and they are going to be packaged up and placed into the keratinocytes before they start to keratinize. And the melanocytes have a very specific job, and their job is to protect from UV radiation. Next, there's the dendritic or the Langer's cells, and they are star-shaped macrophages which are designed to activate the immune system. Last are the tactile or Merkel cells, and those are going to be your sensory receptors for touch. Next, we're going to discuss the layers of the skin. We're going to start with the epidermis. The epidermis is made out of keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and all of the layers of the epidermis will be keratinized except for the stratum basale, which is where the keratinocytes are going to develop mitotically. We're going to begin with the most outside layer, the stratum corneum. The stratum corneum is made out of dead cells which are considered keratinized or cornified. They are there to provide a physical layer or a physical barrier against pathogens, and they are going to protect us from the environment. The stratum lucidium is not present in all layers or all depths of the epidermis. This is only going to be present on or in thick skin, like on the bottom of your feet or your hands. And it is also made up of dead cells. Next, we're going to look at the stratum granulosum, which contains nuclei and organelles. These nuclei and organelles are getting squashed, and they are getting keratinized. As they squash, the nuclei and organelles are getting deactivated. And next, we're going to come up to the stratum spinosum. The stratum spinosum is where keratinocytes are going to be held together with desmosomes, and those keratinocytes are going to begin filling with keratin, Another thing that happens in the stratum spinosum is that is where melanocytes begin to be activated. Um, and then we're going to have we're going to have the stratum basal, which is going to be mitotic and keratinized. It's also going to include your Merkel cells, which are going to help with the feelings of touch. And they are going to divide, and as they divide and start to become older, they will end up becoming the stratum spinosum. So the stratum basal is where the cells are going to be developed mitotically. That's where they are going to go through mitosis and make new cells. Those cells are going to then go up and become part of the stratum spinosum, where they are going to begin filling with keratin. They're going to still be held together by their desmosomes. And that's why this is called the stratum spinosum, because those desmosomes look like spines. And then we're going to have that stratum granulose. They're going to go up in, or get pushed up as more cells are made in the stratum basal. They're going to get pushed up into the stratum let me start over with that one, stratum granulosum. And then as time goes on, they'll be pushed from the stratum granulosum and to the stratum corneum. So remember that the deeper tissue, the stratum basal, is going to be the younger cells or the younger tissue, and the stratum corneum is going to be the oldest tissue. So last semester, someone helped us with a mnemonic to remember the order of the different layers in the epidermis. And the mnemonic he came up with was, "Come, let's get some beer." Next, we're going to look at the dermis. The dermis is made out of two layers. It's made out of the papillary layer. The papillary layer is made of areolar tissues. Inside of that layer, we're going to find blood vessels, which are going to bring nourishment for the stratum basal by diffusion. And then we're going to have defensive immune cells like the white blood cells, macrophages, and mast cells. The Meissner corpuscles are going to be present in this layer. And remember, Meissner corpuscles are going to sense very soft touch. And then the last thing that we're going to find in this layer are friction ridges. Friction ridges are the ridges on your fingers which make up your fingerprints, and they are going to enhance your grip. Next is the reticular layer. The reticular layer is made out of dense irregular connective tissue, or the DFICT for short. The structures are found within this layer include blood vessels called the cutaneous plexus, hair follicles, sebaceous glands, eccrine glands, erector pili, and Pacian corpuscles. The function of this layer is to keep your skin cool and lubricated and provide some protection. Your erector pili are there, which will raise your hair, the hair on your skin, as you get cold, or if you get scared, or if you ever have the chills, that's those erector pili rising up. And the Pacian corpuscles are going to be there to help you feel pressure. Lastly, we're going to discuss the hypodermis, which is not really a layer of skin, but more of a superficial fascia of adipose tissue. And the functions are to store fat and join the skin with a layer of connective tissue anchoring mostly to muscle, and it's going to protect against impact. There are three types of pigments that you need to be aware of. Remember that pigment is going to provide color. The first one we're going to discuss is one that we've been discussing, made by the melanocyte, which is melanin. Melanin is going to be in various colors from a reddish yellow to brown. Its function is to protect from DNA, or to protect the DNA from damage from UV radiation or the UV light from the sun. It's made from tyrosine by tyrosinase in the skin, and your skin color is dependent upon the shades and amount of melanin present. Carotene. So when I think of carotene, I kind of think of carrots, and so that's a yellowish orange. They are going to be accumulated in the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. So if you look at your palms of your hands, you're looking at the keratin color. And then that keratin is in our body so that it can be converted to vitamin A. Hemoglobin is the last pigment, and hemoglobin is red. It's the hemoglobin are the oxygen transporting cells in our skin or in our body, or in our blood actually. And this skin layer is actually a little transparent, and the reason why people with really fair skin have a very light pinkish hue to their skin is we're seeing the hemoglobin within their skin. Next, we're going to look at the types of glands, and we're going to start with the sudoriferous glands. And there are two types of sudoriferous glands, the eccrine glands and the apocrine glands, also known as the amacrine glands. We're going to look at each of these. We're going to look at their structure and what they release and their function. So, eccrine glands are tubular coiled glands in the dermis. They are made of simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. This provides the watery sweat that has salt and urea and antibodies and ammonia. And it's designed for, or it is going to provide for thermoregulation for our body. So this is you've been outside and you get hot and sweaty sweat. Next, the apocrine glands are larger and deeper within the dermis. These are made out of simple cuboidal epithelial cells as well. They're going to make oily, milky substances in the groin and axillary region. So this is the scent. It might be related to sexual hormone release, the smells related to being attracted to somebody. However, it's also related to body odor. So if the areas under the arm or in the groin are not kept clean, then bacteria breed there and body odor is present. There are two types of apocrine gland, the creminous gland, which is a modified apocrine gland that produces wax mixed with sebum, such as your earwax. And remember, sebum is just a type of oil. And then your mammary glands, which are modified apocrine glands that can produce a highly protein-laden fatty sweat, which we call milk. Then we also have to talk about our sebaceous or oil glands. These are halocrine glands, which are bursting glands. They're going to burst open. They develop around hair follicles and from hair follicles. They are simple cuboidal epithelium. So all of these glands are made out of the same type of tissue. That might be something good to know, that all of the glands are made out of that simple cuboidal epithelium. And what is it going to release? It's going to release oil. And the function of the sebaceous glands are to soften the hair follicles, lubricate and protect the skin. It's going to produce oils, and those oils kill bacteria and can get released in response to heat or hormones or puberty, or the contraction of erectile or erector pili.